Welcome to Vault Hours here at Bitwarden, wherever you might be in the world. Again, we appreciate all of you as members of our community, as our customers. With me today, I'm Nasser Khan, by the way, Product Marketing Manager here at Bitwarden. And I am joined by my colleagues, Casey Babcock, Ryan Louisbrand, Cy Ferguson, and new to the team, or actually making another stint, Don Wilkinson. We also have Chris Mackler. So thank you from the entire Bitwarden team. This is our first Vault Hours of the year. So these Vault Hours are a way for us to share information, new product releases, new features, give you relevant, interesting news that's happening in our space. And also, it is a key platform for you to be heard, right? So you can come on stage, and if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you want to share anything, you can always feel free to come and discuss those with us. And some house rules. So just quickly on the agenda side first, we'll go through a year in review for 2024 really quick. Talk a little bit about Passkeys. Of course, recent product updates and overview with Ryan, and then digital estate planning, which is a very, very interesting topic these days, and how you might consider digital estate planning. We'll go over some of the more interesting blogs in Newsfeed, and then we'll go into help and learning and community questions. So with that, let me see if there's anyone who wants to come up. If you want to join, just go and feel free to join on the screen. Just note on the chat on the right dialog box, I have a live question or a comment, and I will bring you on stage if you want to share that. Again, this is a community platform. This is a place where you can be heard, and we're always eager to listen to your stories around security and Bitwarden. So feel free to just ping us on the right side. We also have a Q&A window, so you can either post your questions in the chat or in the Q&A window. So, all right, any questions yet? Any initial questions?
So far, we did have one asking about if we would use our Blue Sky account. We had a comment here already about that, basically saying here we're on the lookout for other platforms that are a good match for the Bitwarden community, and so we're still gathering feedback on that and if it makes sense for our social strategy. But yeah, we're aware of Blue Sky.
All right. Anything else? I can give you 15 seconds if anyone wants to make a comment. Anything interesting that's happened over the last year, over the new year, anything around security that you'd like to share? Maybe some new design plans for Windows app Q1 and Q2.
I actually can give a short and sweet update on this. So, and we'll be talking about the browser UI update a little bit here in a moment. But there are going to be some incremental steps that are going into making some changes. Now, you might notice that the desktop app shares a few. Oh, am I quiet, man? I don't really have a good way. I'm already at 100%. So let me see if I can't find a way to boost myself when I'm not speaking. I'll just yell louder. I'll do that. But you might notice that the desktop application shares some modules with the web app. And so as design stuff goes into the web app, some of it's also being taken into the desktop application. You'll see some changes come through there gradually. The first update that will be coming through is we're taking some steps to update the mobile applications. And so you might notice some things are changing here and there with every new release. And rather than a full major reskin, it's going gradually, and we'll start looking a little bit closer to what you see already in the browser extension, and then that'll be slowly adopted throughout all the other clients.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. I don't see any additional questions. So what we'll do here, and feel free to keep enter your questions over time into the chat dialog box at any time. But we'll move on, and we'll do a year in review, 2024 year in review, and I'll hand off to Casey.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to set the stage, right, for all these other really cool product updates and other conversations that we're having. I mean, kind of do a quick review of 2024, just because this is our first Vault Hours of the year. So just kind of taking a look back at all that we've accomplished as a community and as a team. So let's move on to that next slide. There was a lot of growth of just Bitwarden users. So more people staying safe online, adopting password management into their personal tech stacks. So we saw 100, or not 100, oh my goodness, 10 million users adopting Bitwarden over 180 countries. There's also 50,000 business customers using Bitwarden now. And when we look at Passkeys, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second, but we're seeing a daily increase of this compared to last year of over 500%. And so that's a huge increase. This is a really big kind of growing area that people are starting to use to secure themselves
Oh, there he is.
online.
That was Ryan.
Sorry, what was that, Ryan?
Oh, sorry. Do we lose you for a moment?
No, we didn't.
Okay, that was me then. My goodness, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. He's just so excited about passkeys. What are you gonna do? And there's just like a growing area that people are securing themselves online, whether in their personal lives or business lives as well. 2024, there was also a lot of new improvements and additions to Bitwarden offerings, whether that is for existing community members, existing Bitwarden users, or for people who are just now discovering Bitwarden. So we launched the Bitwarden Authenticator app. So this application essentially allows you to store your TOTP codes on a separate mobile application from the standard Bitwarden clients. So keeping those separate for those who are concerned about that kind of separation of TOTP and their passwords. We also saw a lot of inline autofill updates. So the inline autofill menu now supports, in addition to username and password, the autofilling of cards, identities, TOTP codes, and also generate new strong and unique passwords for you. So this is a really big deal, especially for those who are getting maybe family members, friends, colleagues into Bitwarden. They're just now discovering secure password management. And this is a really easy way to start autofilling in their passwords and other sensitive information. We also released iOS and Android native apps. This was a long time coming and a very exciting addition to our Bitwarden clients. So this is essentially going to set Bitwarden up to support more cutting edge features. It's going to help us more closely integrate into those ecosystems and essentially have enhanced app performance. So really big deal for those using those applications. And then lastly, we've offered SCIM provisioning for quite a while now for enterprise users, but now it is also available for teams. So if you have a Teams plan, you are now able to more easily provision users into your Bitwarden organization via SCIM. So that's going to connect you to whatever directory integration you're using. And then, kind of speaking of integrations, we had a lot of integrations this year as well. So being released for both Bitwarden personal users and business users, Microsoft Sentinel and Rapid7. These are both Steam integrations, so security, information, and event monitoring. So essentially being able to more closely analyze what's happening within a Bitwarden organization and make decisions based on that. We also had our Kubernetes integration released for Secrets Manager. So essentially supporting to essentially more easily and securely manage your Kubernetes secrets with Secrets Manager. And then lastly, we released Avanta, or we support Avanta integration, which helps with more streamlined compliance monitoring. So a lot of things to be proud of in 2024. Absolutely, the community is a big part of that, right? You threw out your suggestions, your recommendations. We couldn't have done it without you. So As we look forward for 2025, really excited to continue supporting the Bitwarden community, continue supporting business and personal users, and continue releasing things that help you be more secure online. So as we look towards 2025, we have some more information on product updates, some more things that are in development. So I'll let the team share a little bit more about that.
For the customers, they will see more integrations. The IO received very well, and we continue to want to hear feedback from our customer base. So do share that feedback on different channels that you can, community, Reddit, over here. And we look forward to coming up with a lot of new cool features over this next year. So very exciting. All right, I don't see any questions. Anything from you, Ryan, before I move on? All right, Passkeys. I've put in a Passkey poll on the right side, the third tab that says polls. You might be able to see it. So what's your favorite thing about using Passkeys? And this could be specifically with Bitwarden or just generally, but do you use it as a phishing resistant authentication, 2FA? Do you use them to store, do you use it, Bitwarden, to store and retrieve your Passkeys? Are you logging in to Bitwarden with Passkeys? So how are you using Passkeys? I would like to just take 15 seconds and let you enter that poll. I'd really appreciate it. And I know while you guys are entering that, Sam had some feedback. Great, thanks. Would like to see icon and search function. What's that word? SUOIR and search function.
What they mean.
I guess support. Okay, icon support and search function, just to name a few. We'll take that into regard and pass that information to our product team. It should be visible. The poll should be visible. So if you look at the right side, in fact, I see people putting in their replies. Bill, do you see the poll right now? It's on the right side. It says polls. If you just click on that polls button. All right. I see a few things that have come in over here. We have about 12, 13, 15 people who've polled. Actually, more than that now, 16. So majority of the people are using Passkeys as a 2FA mechanism for phishing resistant authentication. The second one, 29% of those polled are saying they're using Bitwarden to store and retrieve their Passkeys. And then we got about 2 people saying they're logging in and decrypting their vault with Bitwarden, and 1 logging directly into Bitwarden with a passkey. So let's take a look if there's still more votes coming, 15, 16, 17, 18. So if you take a look at the way Bitwarden works with passkeys, there's 4 core ways Bitwarden supports passkeys. So as multi-factor authentication, 2-step login. So if you log in with your master password and you want a 2FA mechanism, that could be a passkey. So to verify your Bitwarden login. So that's one way. The other way is using and storing passkeys within your Bitwarden vault. So you can create and save passkeys in your vault. And then there's developers. We have a developer offering called passwordless.dev. And what this is a set of APIs and SDK, a set of SDKs that enable developers, if we have any developers here, to go and build passkey authentication into their services. And the fourth way is logging in to and decrypting your Bitwarden vault with a passkey. So there's multiple ways in which Bitwarden supports passkeys. And what we are seeing is passkey growth, as Casey had mentioned earlier, has pretty much increased by 5x, so 500% increase year over year in the number of passkeys being stored in Bitwarden vaults. Which is a clear sign that more people, and we are seeing that increasing quarter over quarter. So it's like a hockey stick. Quarter over quarter, people are just using passkeys more than even before. And we're also seeing a big push from the big cloud providers, the Googles, the Amazons of the world, Microsoft, towards pushing their end users to start using passkeys. They're making the workflows a lot more intuitive. And if you think about companies like Microsoft, they're actually introducing a passkey plugin API where you can log into Windows services with passkeys. So we are actually partnering with Microsoft on that. So you're going to see some news very, very soon. So you'll be able to log into your services and store your passkeys, your Windows services passkeys in Bitwarden. So there's so much happening in this space. I highly recommend that you go and take a look at passkeys. Go check out the services that support passkeys. In fact, if someone can share passkey index over here, So this is a community-driven effort, Passkey Index. And what it is you can go and look at all the services that support passkeys, and you can go and enable passkeys and then store those passkeys in your service of choice, most likely Bitwarden. Highly recommended. Passkeys are unphishable. There's no incidence of passkeys getting phished or hacked. They're asymmetrical. Every service, there's this public-private key handshake that needs to happen. So the private key stored on the web service that you're trying to log into, and you store the private key, the public key stored on the service you're trying to log into, and that handshake needs to happen. So if someone even sends you a fake website and tries to get you to log into something, it's not going to work. So again, check out the services there on Passkey Index. Try out Passkeys. Give us your feedback on what you want to see with regards to Passkey innovation. Another thing I want to add is the credential exchange protocol. We're a part of the FIDO Alliance, which is a consortium of large tech companies that come together to build out these standards. And one of the standards they're working on is the credential exchange protocol, which will allow credentials such as Passkeys to be ported over from service to service. So this is a really big deal. We expect to see the implementation fairly soon, probably in Q1. So we're very, very excited about that. I see some comments coming in. Biometrics, yeah, I think that's something that's in the works, most likely. Don, sometimes the search function doesn't work in the iOS with large DOTP codes. A few improvements, view next code, group labeling widgets. Thanks, Sam, for that feedback. It's noted. All right, we'll make sure to pass this feedback back to the product team and continue to innovate. But what I do expect to see over the next year is a significant improvement in an uptake in the number of passkeys being deployed. All right, over to recent product updates for the month of January. I'm going to hand off to Ryan.
All right. So first, is my voice coming through clearly? I found a way to boost my mic a little bit higher so I don't have to yell.
Yeah.
Great.
Super crisp.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. All right. Next slide. Yeah. So we had a bunch of updates roll through, and we'll start with web app device approvals. So some people, you might already be used to approving new logins to your Bitwarden Vault through your mobile app or your desktop app. Well, now you can do it through the web app. So if you're already logged into the web app, you can go to a new devices tab in the security settings and see what's pending, approved devices, and then also see pretty much anything else that has had an approved session. This security tab is new, and in its early infancy, you'll see some extra functionality come to this in the future. But this really improves people who are signing up for Bitwarden for the first time, especially if you're using SSO with trusted devices. Just for those who aren't aware, SSO with trusted devices lets you start a Bitwarden account without a master password, using trusted devices and your IDP to do authentication and encryption verification and all that. But when you first sign up, the first device that you have is considered the trusted device. And if you don't have a way to approve a device, you have to get administrator approval for your next device. So this will now let people who sign up from the web app for the first time as their first trusted device approve a second device, such as the mobile app, which can help also approve other devices too. So now web app, mobile app, and desktop apps can all approve new logins and trusted devices. Coming up next is going to be the browser extension. Okay, so browser UI customization. So I'm pretty sure everyone has noticed by now that the extension has a new user interface, a nice redesign. It does include some changes to how people might have been used to something, but if you want to go back to how some of the things were for some more familiar workflows, there have been some options that are added. Most of them are in the appearance settings of the extension. So if you prefer having single buttons for all your copy functions rather than having like a hamburger menu for those, you could just go to the settings and click the little tick box and you'll see them all come back as evidenced up here in the top right corner. One for username, one for password, and one for TOTP code, for example. And then you can also change the default behavior of clicking the Vault item. So if you open up the tab and you click on it, the current default is that you will open the item. That is uniform wherever this is around the product. If you click on it, it opens it. And in place of autofilling it, there is now a little pill for fill to click on to autofill. If you want to remove the fill button and just have it so that clicking anywhere on the item will autofill, you can do that also in the autofill settings. So for people who prefer going back to the old method, but just be aware that if the item is not under the autofill suggestions, it's going to have a different behavior than everywhere else, where if it's not an autofill item, it will click to open up. So something to think about. You can also, in the appearance settings, increase the width. You see I have it listed over here on the far right. And then also there's a compact mode, which takes out some of the breathing room between items. You see that here on the left. So if you want to get a little bit extra data density, you can do that. And then a reminder for people who might be saying, like, well, I want to be able to access specific folders really quickly. I don't like this new Vault tab. Well, you can use favorites. And you'll have a favorite will pop up between autofill suggestions and then the all item suggestions if you're using favorites. And so you can always find stuff there and pin it for faster and easier access. And then also, just released this week, I believe it's already available in Chrome and is still going through the approval process with Firefox. You will be able to collapse the favorites and all items lists so that they are hidden from view, and that will persist. And this is handy for people who find themselves screen sharing a lot and are concerned about privacy of having the all items listed on their Vault page. Any questions about this here? This has been we want to thank the community for the rapid feedback from how we launched the browser extension, what came out, and what people most missed. And we are happy that we were able to work with community to bring the items and customization that they wanted to see relatively quickly.
We have a question.
When can we see the new UI roll out to self-hosted installations? You already have the new UI in a self-hosted installation. It's just hidden behind a feature flag. You will need to change an environment variable to turn on that feature flag. I believe that you might be able to find the documentation on our help site. I'm not exactly certain where it can be done, but it's going to be like one of your customizations there. So maybe we could reach out to our team and get some quick instructions. I'll get back to you.
Awesome. I don't know if there's any other questions on this. We can move to the next slide.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Thanks, Micah. Micah is joining us from across the pond, product manager for Bitwarden, and so he's given us an answer here. If you'd rather not mess with environment variables, the team is working now to remove the flag so self-hosted can benefit from these changes. Great. All right. Another update, inline autofill the TOTP code. So we have the inline autofill menu that can now basically do anything. Now with the generate and fill TOTP codes, you can just do it from the page and like just from the field, the TOTP field that's there. It works if it's on a separate screen from using the password, and it's actually quite handy. First, you see here in the screenshot, it's giving you a countdown. You can click, it just fills the code. Right now, if you autofill an item, Bitwarden will automatically copy the TOTP code to your clipboard. That's on by default. But now with this autofill option, you can actually turn that off and still be able to quickly access your TOTP codes. So I know many folks are hesitant about having things go onto their clipboard, and they might even turn on the auto clipboard clear settings, which is secure but also sometimes inconvenient. So now you can go into the go to the settings and turn that off, and that's a really nice benefit for the security-minded folks. And so, yeah, inline autofill now handles everything: usernames, passwords, passkeys, credit cards, identities, and TOTP codes. So that's awesome.
Awesome. Any other questions? And I don't see any other questions. Feel free to jump into the chat or Q&A there.
Okay, and then the last thing to talk about on the next slide is an upcoming feature, and that is a verification for new devices. So this is something that we've talked about in the community for a little bit, and how it's coming soon is something that some people may not be used to. But now when you log in, or not now, soon, when you log in from a new device that's not recognized by Bitwarden, Bitwarden will ask for additional verification if you don't have two-factor authentication enabled. So this new verification will basically be emailed to the account that's on file, and you have to enter the code to continue to log in. Now, this only applies if you don't have two-factor authentication enabled. That means any type of two-factor authentication, you have nothing protecting you. And you're not using single sign-on to log in. Single sign-on people usually have their own two-factor authentication at the authentication level with the identity provider. And then also the device must be unrecognized. That usually means it's a brand new device, or you've cleared the data that the device had on it. So if you had your mobile phone, you cleared your device. If you were operating in private windows, or you cleared your browser cache and you were logging into the vault, that would be considered an unrecognized device. So the The lesson here is that when you are emailed a code, you just need to be sure you can access that email address, and that means outside of Bitwarden. So some folks who might be used to putting their password for their email address inside of Bitwarden, just be sure that you still have a way to access that email, such as staying logged into your email account, like on another device. Just that way you can access the code. And the recommendation is to set up any form of two-factor authentication on Bitwarden to completely avoid this process altogether. And that could mean using a hardware security key or or an authenticator application like Bitwarden Authenticator. If you really wanted to, you could also set up email two-factor authentication that you could be used as an emergency, because some people might be worried about lockout, to another account that's not yours. So you could send an option to have two-factor authentication go to a significant other's account if you need to, that you trust, or a family's member's account. So just any form of two-factor authentication will exempt you from this process. Okay. Any questions on this? I know there's been a lot of questions from the community about this.
I think there's a question from Dominic.
Previewing the next TOTP code in the authenticator will also be browser app. I'm not certain about that. I'll look into it. It only applies to non-two-factor. No. Yeah, yes. Now, it will apply to people who are using SSO who may also have a master password that decide to log in with master password. So there is a policy on in enterprise installations that say require SSO, which means master password's not even an option. But for organizations that don't have that selected and users do have master passwords, they will still be subjected to this.
Also the feedback by Daniel that outside of Bitwarden is not really clearly communicated. So that's something please make more explicit for everyone. We can take that back to the product team.
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you. All right. I think we can move on from here. Digital estate planning. So, next we're diving into this topic about digital estate planning. What happens when, planning for end of life? What happens to your loved ones' credentials after they pass away? And for that, I'm going to hand over to Chris, who's going to talk about his own experience. So, Chris, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Nasser. Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Mackler. I'm Retention Marketing Manager here at Bitwarden. So, yeah, next slide, Nasser. So, it's kind of hard to believe, but it's still the first month of the year, and New Year's resolutions have kind of been on my mind. In the last couple of years, I've been having this question in the back of my head. If my family member passed away, would they have, or if I, God forbid, passed away, would they have access to my important accounts, or vice versa? In the last couple of years, this has kind of just been weighing on me, and I decided that, hey, this year, let me do something about it. So, next slide. My answer was no. If God forbid my significant other passed away, they have access to our mortgage, important health accounts for a 4-year-old son, etc. So I decided to do something about it using Bitwarden. So yeah, I leveraged Bitwarden family organization, collections, TOTP code storage. And, I'm relatively new to Bitwarden, but not new to password management. So I set my partner up on Bitwarden, invited her to a family organization. And for those who don't know, family organizations are free for, I believe, 6 family members now. So it's a really great feature that if you don't know about, you should definitely utilize. Imported credentials from Dashlane, from Apple, from Chrome, from kind of all over the place. We changed passwords with sensitive accounts. We added IDs and personal info into identities such as passport numbers, our son's birth certificate, important things like that. And really got to work organizing our accounts into collections. We have different collections for financial, for health, for utilities, somewhat unimportant accounts like streaming. And then we kind of have a neat quick share account collection where, just this morning, my significant other asked for an account for my son's college fund. And, that wasn't necessarily in our shared collection yet, but just very couple clicks and it was shared into our organization collections. And my spouse was able to access that immediately. And so that's really, it just brings a sense of closure where we can all have, my family can have access to all these important accounts safely, securely, easily. And it's really just, peace of mind. It's really great. And I really would highly recommend anyone who's been thinking about this in the back of their head. It's not that difficult to start and do. And it's really great to organize and structure all of your accounts into Bitwarden. So yeah, I
Chris,
really strongly
how much,
encourage.
Chris, how much time does it take you to do this, to sit down and set a plan?
Yeah, it takes a little while. That's kind of why I've been dragging my feet for the last couple of years. But using, Bitwarden, it's relatively easy just to import from all of your different places you're storing, from Apple, from Chrome, from your phone, etc., from previous password managers like Dashlane. And it's really just great peace of mind to consolidate it into everything into one account securely and know that you can easily access. We travel a lot as a family, so accessing like health records, maybe like important ID documents, etc., on the go on our phones securely is really great. So really love that.
And we'd love to hear your opinions or how you guys are planning. So feel free to share your ideas on chat, or best practices that you've seen that work for you. Again, this is a community platform. We share ideas. We want to hear what's happening. Maybe there's a better way to do things. So do
Yeah,
share on chat, please.
for sure. And in the US, it's almost tax season, and so like this is a great way to share important financial accounts with your loved ones. Make sure you're getting all those lovely tax forms for the US people. But yeah, this has been amazing. It's less of a burden. My spouse is not the most technical, and she's a little unnerved by this whole process, but it's been relatively seamless, and that's really thanks to Bitwarden on that. So
All right.
yeah, thanks.
Moving back, I think Chris will talk about some of the blogs, some of the more interesting blogs we've published over the last month. So back to you, Chris. You can share some of those.
Yeah, so this one, these are a couple of our, like Nasser said, a couple of our high important blog updates over the last month or so. We, Bitwarden, polled, Nasser, next slide, polled users for Data Privacy Week, polled to basically say, like, what apps are you using that are privacy focused? And here are some of our winners, some of our standouts for the last, for the poll. Obviously, for authentication, using Bitwarden Authenticator and just Bitwarden standard browser, Brave, Firefox, email, Proton Mail. I definitely use Proton Mail. Secure messaging, Signal, private focused search, DuckDuckGo, the ad blockers, email aliases like Simple Login. I'm using that on Bitwarden myself. Note takers, Obsidian, and Snook. I've got to say, I've got to check out some of these, but these are fantastic results gathered by our community. So we really appreciate that. Next
And if you
slide.
guys are using it, if you guys are using any of these, and that you want to put a shout out to any one of those, just feel free to drop it in the chat. We want to hear.
Yeah, and so this blog update basically discussed how to build the best cybersecurity tech stack for your business. It discussed managing, antivirus, including protecting your business with firewall and endpoint security, and of course using a secure password manager such as Bitwarden to streamline your business passwords and account access. So that's really what that one's all about. And so this is a blog post about a newish feature that we have with our enterprise customers, accelerating audits with member access reports. So if you're an enterprise customer, you can go into the report section of your portal and run a new report that highlights like who has access. You can even download a CSV of who has access to particular accounts and all that. That's really helpful. People come and go from your organization. They move on to different roles. They might not necessarily need access to XYZ account. And so this new functionality really highlights that, and it's exportable into a CSV, and it's quite helpful. And so yeah, that's really all I have for these and
Thanks, Chris.
for all of their updates. Check out bitwarden.com/blog. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. I am going to move over to the news feed, where we highlight some of the major coverage and major publications. And some of the first ones that we have where were listed was the Tech Republic report, Bitwarden versus 1Password, Battle of the Best, who wins? And what they mentioned was Bitwarden, they call out Bitwarden's open source and transparent and affordability. They also talk about 1Password being a really good password manager, but being closed source, they call out its the usability, and that's something we've been working on over the last year, improving usability, improving the user experience. And overall, Tech Republic's verdict was Bitwarden is really ideal for users who need a high quality, free and open source password manager. I think the ratings were 4.6 out of 5 for Bitwarden, 4.3 out of 5 for 1Password. So that was a really good highlight report over there. Then there was another one by TechRadar, Best Free Password Manager of 2025, where we ranked at the top. So from there, they tested and 30 different password managers over the years, and they state clearly that the Bitwarden is a superb example of quality free software. So, they tout its two-factor authentication and unlimited password storage. And then they make a clear mention that it competes very strongly with paid password managers and puts many of those paid options to shame. So again, really good call outs from Tech Republic and TechRadar, two really popular publications. And then there's this really interesting write-up on CNET, 5 signs that a bogus student loan debt relief message is a scam. So it's interesting. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of loan forgiveness. So obviously, there's been a lot more student debt relief scams taking place. You need to understand how to spot the red flags if you are in this kind of boat. They'll make a mention of urgent messages demanding immediate action, a request for personal and financial information. They might say, hey, promise of instant loan forgiveness, high pressure tactics, hey, provide this information immediately within the next few days, or even upfront payment requests. So always verify offers through official sources like the Federal Student Aid website, and make sure you're getting the email from a reputable source. And one of the things that you can do is make sure you have strong password management, right? So the way these hackers or these scammers work is on a volume basis. They'll go after thousands of people. They know that, hey, we'll get a 3% or 4% hit back, and we'll be able to get some information that will allow us to get into some other system. So they use a lot of this social and reverse engineering tactics. So make sure you use strong password management so that if they are able to put 1 and 2 together, it's really hard for them to get into that account. Use multi-factor authentication. Can't talk about this enough. I think Ryan mentioned it. Someone else mentioned it earlier. Make sure you use multi-factor authentication, whether that's authenticator app, email, whatever it might be, Passkeys. Make sure you use them, because if they are able to get through that first step by gathering information from you, then they can't log in to those subsystems. There's a second requirement. And make sure, because you're going to have so many passwords, right? Your attack vector is so broad, the footprint is so broad. These attackers are becoming a lot more sophisticated. They're leveraging things like AI. If you look at the types of emails you're getting, the phishing emails you're getting these days, they're so sophisticated. The English is so good. The logos are so realistic. People are falling for these scams a lot more. So make sure you're using a password manager to manage all your accounts. Use complex passwords. Use two-factor authentication. In fact, the average person has 80 passwords. So just keep that in mind. Android Authority is another one. They called out the editor, Mitya Rutnick, talks about his favorite applications, best free apps, and Bitwarden's at the top, including Notion, Feedly, and Koifin. He loves the fact that it's open source, so take a look at that article. And then some of the key product announcements that went out, obviously, over the last month. Bitwarden Secure Shell is now available, the SSH agent, and that allows secure key management within your Bitwarden vault. So it's really simplifies, secure, and enhances Git workflows. It's completely integrated into the Bitwarden vault, and ensures your SSH keys are secure and accessible and always ready whenever you want them. Again, seamless SSH key management from within your Bitwarden vault, and then cross-platform consistency. It works seamlessly across Mac, Windows, and Linux. So take a look. If you're an IT specialist, if you're a DevOps person, you can manage your SSH keys from within Bitwarden. The other one is something that Casey mentioned earlier, is the native mobile apps are now available for iOS and Android. Again, the key benefits of this is optimized performance. They've been written in the native languages of those platforms. So again, optimized performance, tailored user experiences, and really deeper hardware integration. So whenever those platforms release a new capability, Bitwarden can take advantage of those much easily. So again, biometric authentication, multi-device syncing, other key capabilities, we should be able to roll out features much faster and integrate with those native capabilities much easily. So those are some of the really interesting things that have been announced. So over to help and learning. If there are no questions, let me take a look here. All right, I'm going to pass over to help and learning to our technical marketing team. Over to you, Sai.
My name is Sai. I am one of the technical training managers here. So I will be talking to you a little bit about some of the new things that have been coming to help and learning in the new year. So just a couple of articles I wanted to highlight in our Help Center. So with that new device login protection that Ryan talked about earlier, we've got an FAQ right in our Help Center if you have questions or want to know some more of the intricacies of when it does and doesn't apply. I know we had some questions about the SSO in the chat. So if you are curious or need to know about how it might impact you, you can take a look at that FAQ document. And then also just kind of hand in hand with that, making sure that you're aware of our field guide to two-step login. So that'll walk you through how to set up two-step login on your Bitwarden account, no matter which method you want to use. So it'll tell you not only, like in that diagram, exactly how the two-step login process works, but it'll also walk you through how to add, whether you want to add a security key, a different authenticator app. You can also use the standalone Bitwarden Authenticator mobile app that I've got little QR codes down below for those. But if you want to use something else, that's fine. And that'll walk you through everything you might need to know to get that enabled on your account. And then this one, I hinted at it last year. I said that in the new year, the Learning Center would be moving, and that move is complete. So the Learning Center is now integrated into the Bitwarden Help Center. So you can find all the same Learning Center content right at the very bottom there where I've highlighted in blue. And a couple of guides I want to call out at the moment is that we've got a video series for Bitwarden for business admins, as well as for power users. So I know a lot of the folks that tend to either attend or watch these sessions are what we would consider power users. You like getting into the nitty-gritty of the product. That'll give you some more details on different features that you may or may not have used before. So keep your eyes peeled. With this integration, you're going to see more video content throughout the Help Center, so expect more to come. All right. Last thing here, at least from my section before we hand it off to my colleague, is going to be talking about some of the interactive events. So we have our product deep dive every Wednesday at noon Eastern. So if you go to that bitwarden.com/weekly, we do encourage you to come check it out. That is a great live session with either myself or one of my colleagues hosting. And we do answer questions live. So just like you've experienced here today with the Vault Hours, if you've got a question that you'd rather have a live in the moment answer to, or even have the product walked through so we can explain exactly how to do what you're looking at, or maybe just give you more details on a feature or security function of Bitwarden, that is a great resource for you. We also have our MSP demo. Next one's coming up on the 13th, and that is going to be moving back to 2 times a month. So every second and fourth Thursday. So providing a little bit more opportunities for MSPs to see that demonstration live, especially with the new year. We know new year comes with lots of new opportunities. So we're excited to be able to offer that. Last one there, I want to call out a recent session that we had discussing data privacy with Bitwarden and Brave. So we've got that replay over on X right now if you want to check it out. It was a really interesting session, so please take a peek if that is something interesting and important for you.
Thanks, Sai.
I think over to Don for community.
Thanks, everybody. And Dominic, to your point, that's always a fun one with Firefox. I always keep Brave installed so I can play with the new toys as soon as they're out rather than waiting. But for anyone that's new to the Bitwarden community, head over to bitwarden.com/get-involved. It has a whole bunch of quick links and the different ways that you can take part, such as our forums where we have feature requests, we have user surveys, we have beta programs, feature requests, so drop by, let us know what you think. Reddit is very active. Mastodon, if you're not a big fan of X. If you're at all interested in contributing to the Bitwarden codebase, check out our GitHub. And if you want to help us bring Bitwarden to more languages, we also have that available through Crowdin. And one thing I want to highlight, Ryan was touching on a lot of the upcoming new device protection, is our Bitwarden Security Readiness Kit. So I'm going to throw that in the chat, but Ryan worked with members of our community down at the bottom there, Jason. I'm not going to try and pronounce some of those, but you know who you are. We thank you so much. But basically, this readiness kit is something that you can download to your computer. You can add all the key pieces of data that you need so that you can always access your account. You can keep this somewhere safe, such as in an encrypted drive or in an offline safe, as people have said, bolted to the inside of your home. But take a look with the upcoming device protection coming out. This is a key piece to keep you safe. And as Ryan mentioned, he's working on a fillable PDF version, so stay tuned for that one. Now we're going to drop into community questions that tail end how Ryan was covering the different customization functions that we have. So a lot of the questions in the community are, how can I make the experience what I want it to be? So first thing that we're going to look at is, what does click items to autofill on Vault View mean in the settings menu under autofill? So if you click that, when you open up your browser extension, it just means that when you click on any of those autofill suggestion tiles, it's going to autofill that onto your current website instead of opening it into the item view. And thank you for submitting this question, William. This one is about how to bring back that split view where we can see the username, password, TOTP as separate icons instead of that three-dot menu. So if you head to settings and appearance, you can just click the second option, show quick copy actions on Vault, and you can bring that view back. And finally, Ryan was mentioning that we are adding the collapsible sections for favorites and all items. This is rolling out to the different platforms, so stay tuned if you don't see it yet. But it means that when you're on a specific website, if you don't want to see your whole vault, you can easily collapse the all items or favorites section. And I think that's it on our end. Oh, if you want to take your involvement a step further, head to our careers page, bitwarden.com/careers. We have some great positions available, such as Director of Product Design, Build Release Engineer, Senior Rust Software Engineer, and more. And I think that's it. Back over to you, Nasser.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Don. And I've seen the chat dialogue has been super busy. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for the feedback, the product feedback, the comments, and thanks for the team to be actively answering some of those concerns and those questions. Again, without you guys, we can't continually improve the product. So thank you so much for that feedback. One more thing, we usually do a raffle. So if you go to the Bitwarden store, we have a giveaway, and you have an opportunity to win one of these really, really cool designed items, shirts, socks, cups, really cool stuff. So what you want to do is go bitwarden.com/shop, fill out the contact form at that URL I just provided within 24 hours of this event, and then enter giveaway during Vault Hours 48. This is Vault Hours 48 in the comment field, and winners will be notified by email. So again, some really cool stuff that you can win. We have a ton of attendees today, so make sure you try and fill that out and try and win something. So with that, we come to a close, but I would like to give people 5 minutes if they have any questions, community questions. I know today it's been super busy, so this is your opportunity. If someone wants to come up stage and wants to say something, if there's any additional comments from product perspective, if there's anything that you see could be improved with this event, anything, we're open to hear. Ryan, Casey, Don, you guys want to share anything?
Is it too controversial to ask what does everyone think of the new Linkin Park music?
I mean, it is a hot topic for people who know. For people who just hear,
thumbs up or thumb down.
For people who just hear on the radio, you're like, man, what an incredible voice.
I love it. I'll be on that side.
I was genuinely impressed when I first heard her.
Yeah, I was impressed as well.
Okay, so I see this comment from Daniel to the security kit. I think a field for export password for the vault should be added. I had thought about this before, but and what I did when I put this together was I actually included that as an example in the other notes section, rather than just having a dedicated section, because I was trying to fit everything on one page and not everybody was using everything. But I'll think about that as we go through and make additional updates. But thanks everybody for the feedback.
Great feedback. Thank you, everybody.